home bakers, and welcome back to Dr. Mummy Cake's kitchen. Today we're going to be making some delicious yummy sugar cookies just in time for Christmas, but it's also something that you can make any time of the year. These sugar cookies are very easy to make, taste absolutely delicious, and if you've got kids, I can almost guarantee you this is going to be a favorite. So this recipe calls for sifted flour. So what you have to do is you have to sift your flour, then you measure the quantity as stated in the recipe. So my sieved flour is in the glass bowl. I'm adding some baking powder and some salt to that, and then I'm going to mix until well combined, and then I'm going to set that aside. Next, we're going to cream the butter and the sugar together using my stand mixer until it's nicely combined. That will roughly take between 1 to 2 minutes. If you only have a hand mixer or just a hand whisk, you can also use that to cream your butter and sugar. If you're using a stand mixer, don't forget to stop in between to scrape the bowl well so that everything becomes nicely combined together. And this is what your creamed mixture to start to look like. Next, we're going to add the eggs, and then we're going to mix until the egg is well combined. This will take approximately 1 minute to get the egg nicely combined into the mixture. After that, we're going to add the extract. So you'll definitely want to add vanilla extract as flavoring, but to give extra flavor, you can also use almond extract if you have this available. It brings extra flavor to your cookies, but if you don't have it, not to worry. Next, you're going to add in all the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients while your stand mixer is going on low speed. Once you've added all the flour, then crank it up. If your mixture is still a little bit wet, you can add a little bit more flour. I would advise you add 1 tablespoon of flour at a time. You want to mix until you have a nice doughy consistency. So here you can see that it's not like a dough, it's still a little bit wet. So I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of plain flour and mix until I have a well-formed dough looking just like this. So this is the consistency that you're after, not wet, but also don't add too much flour so that it doesn't look too doughy. So you're going to roll the dough, and my rolling pin has rolling pin guides which allow me to roll my dough to the desired thickness. You'll also need a non-slip mat, which you should add a little bit of sprinkling of flour so that your dough doesn't stick to the mat, and also to your hands again so that the dough doesn't stick to your hands. Divide your dough into 2 and work with the first half, flattening it down and then using your rolling pin to roll it nice and flat. So the advantage of having the rolling pin guides is that it allows you to roll the dough evenly. You want to aim for 1/2 inch thickness for your dough. So this is how your dough should look, nice even thickness all around. Next, take a flat baking tray and line it with some baking or parchment paper. If it's not sticking, just add a smearing of butter and use that to stick the parchment paper onto your baking tin. Add a little sprinkling of flour so that your dough doesn't stick to the surface, and transfer your rolled dough onto the baking paper. So I've deliberately cut the parchment paper larger than the width of the dough so I can fold it over, sprinkle a little bit of flour, and later on I'm going to add the other half of the rolled dough onto that surface. So in the same way, prepare the other half of your dough, rolling it nice and flat and evenly, and then put it onto the parchment paper. Cover it with some cling film, and then you want to chill in the fridge for at least 2 hours, ideally overnight. Do not skip this step. So now my chilled dough is ready, and I'm just going to start cutting the shapes out. The reason that you chilled the dough is so that when you bake it, it does not spread and it keeps its shape. So I'm making this cookies for Christmas, so I'm using a Christmas a Christmas tree cutter shape, but you can use literally any cutter shape that you want. and you want to be cutting out the shapes using your cutters, transferring it gently using a palette knife onto the baking tray that you already prepared, and then you go again rolling the dough again, same way, even thickness, 1/2 inch. It's helpful if you have the rolling guide, but if you don't, just try and make sure that you roll your dough evenly, cut out the shapes using the cutters. And here is the first batch of the cookies ready to go in the oven. So I've been preheating the oven before I started, so I'm just going to pop it into the oven to bake. And here is the finished cookies. It tastes absolutely delicious. As you can see, it's held the shape, which is the advantage of chilling the dough before you bake, and they taste absolutely yummy. I hope that you will consider making these sugar cookies for Christmas. If you want a full free recipe book that has this as well as other yummy Christmas treats, check out the link in the description section to get your free Christmas ebook recipe. Happy baking!